What's going down? What's going down? Let's get Artie Black in here. Hey, Artie Black, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can, man. You got the good microphone.
Oh, Marcus is over at the club. Nice.
I know, right? We're going to mix it up today, man.
All right.
Uh, Hopefully, everybody's got a beverage. You know how we do. Kool-Aid, if you got it.
There we go.
I just want to say, first off, thanks to Chris, Casey, and all the folks over at Andy's for coming together to just have this kind of presentation. I think is very much needed. A lot of folks are, a lot of artists and musicians are doing the best that they can to kind of stay afloat, not just financially, but honestly, it's a spiritual thing. I think more than anything, we're missing out on that piece of connection, not just with one another as musicians, but also with folks that are, our folks, our fans, people who want to support this music and this art form. So we don't do it just for ourselves, but we do it for everybody. So for those folks who are watching right now, thank you so much for the support. Thanks for being here. Please understand that this is kind of what we are. It's a spinoff of the COVID conversations with Justin Dillard. This is a 4-part series, and we're going to have some conversation, but some playing too. So I don't want folks to think that we're not going to play, because we are going to play. Today we got special guest, trumpet player from Chicago, or Chicago now native almost, Mr. Marques Roots on trumpet. We got Adrian on piano. They're actually live from the club. The club is doing live performances without people right now, so that's cool. And then we got saxophonist Artie Black, man. Artie Black is a very talented saxophonist. I've only seen you play tenor, man, so maybe we can talk about that too. But so I wanted to bring in some musicians and just kind of have a little powwow, man. So let's start with some playing first, man. Who wants to go first? Let's do that. What's been the music in your head thus far that you've been shedding? I know for myself, I've been spending time on the things I didn't spend time on enough in my early years, with Thelonious Monk and Charlie Parker, two of the biggest pioneers in the music, in my opinion. Yeah. And so I've been touching base on that. So, man, what do you like, Artie? What have you been working on, man? What's been in your mind?
Well, I've been kind of back and forth. Some days I feel super motivated, working hard. Some days I feel just kind of down and I don't feel like playing much. So It's been a little bit of a mixed bag. I've been playing my clarinet a lot, actually. Maybe I don't know if I'll play tonight, but I've been kind of drawn to that.
We want to hear it.
Yeah, been drawn to that a little bit. But yeah, in terms of saxophone, I've been listening a lot, spending a lot of time transcribing, but like away from my horn. So I sit down and listen and try and write out a solo. Got into some Blue Mitchell that way. Since we're on the Trumpet Summit, I got a
right. Yeah, and that's a funny thing too, because I know when Chris put this together, the Trumpet Summit is going on. Well, we were going on our 8th year residency until the COVID hit, and that group is responsible for the mission of the group is to continue the legacy of those great trumpet players before us, man. But I've been throwing a lot of other people in there too, because I'm a Joe Henderson, Wayne Shorter fanatic.
Yeah. Right on.
Yeah, that's great. Hey, Marcus, what about you, man? What's been on your head, man?
Actually, for sure, trumpet players, but saxophone players too. Harold Lamb, I've been checking out and listening to, and these novels. This year with Charlie Parker, Centennial. So trying to learn some of the tunes that I heard record in high school, Savoy recording, some of those things. Yeah, and then just other great saxophonists. We were talking about the interest with Sam Rivers, a whole lot of different lists.
Okay. Hey, do me a favor. Can you make sure your mic is you get closer. We got to be able to hear you if you can do that.
Yeah. Sure. How's that?
Yeah, a little bit more. That'll help us out. I know with this technology, we're still trying to figure out the best way to bring it to the people. So I appreciate it. We got somebody that says the sound is coming through twice, talking over yourself. So, we got Scott from Grand Rapids. Thank you for listening, man. We appreciate that. So, all right, well, let's do this, man. Let's just jump into some music, man. Like, Marcus, what are you guys going to play for us today? What's your first thing?
How about
Beatrice? Okay, cool, man. Let's check it out. Yeah, man. You know, it's cool. We were talking about this last week with this. I don't know if you guys. Thanks, Kevin. Sounds better. We appreciate that. I don't know. To me, this reminds me of like when I was in college and we'd have like these all night jam sessions in the practice rooms on Jamie Aversols, man.
Yep.
Your lip fell off. You know.
Yeah,
or just being able to sit back and just play with everybody, man. Marques, this sounded beautiful, man.
yeah.
Why did you what's so special about Beatrice for you, man?
It's a beautiful melody to me.
Hey, come closer to the mic so we can hear you, man. Sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah. Don't be afraid of the audience, man.
The melody is just so hauntingly beautiful. I learned it actually not so much in college, but well after it, sessions at Norman's.
Oh, down in Norman's, you said?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And others in the community, Isaiah Spencer in particular, has played this tune.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great, man.
Even is informing me that that's Lon Freeman's favorite.
You say what?
Lon Freeman's favorite tune.
Yeah. Bonsky. Yeah, man. Well, cool, bro. Let's keep moving forward, man. Thanks for playing that. Hey, so Artie, what are you playing, man? What's the thing for you?
I think I'm gonna play this tune called Status Quo. This came from an album Blowing In from Chicago.
Oh, wow.
So this is 1957. It's John Gilmore and Clifford Jordan, two tenors on the record.
Oh, wow.
It's a beautiful record. And the first track is called Status Quo. I think you'll recognize the changes probably. But I was thinking about this one today because the status quo is hopefully changing in our world. Hopefully we're not sticking with the status quo. So
yeah, man. We can talk about that too.
Yeah. So, we'll get into it, but that's what's on my mind as I think about this tune.
Yeah.
Oh, Marcus, you're muted, I think.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. There I go.
There you go. Yeah.
Man, it's really, I don't know, man. It's really cool. The quarantine and this virus that's running around is I think we got two viruses that are happening.
Yeah.
You know, but the first one that hit us in latter part of March was, I think, for me, man, like when it all happened, I was going through some back problems and everything. So I'm like, it was not about trying to move at all or stay connected with anybody. And then as this time is going on, and I'm just like, man, it's what I've noticed is that I've reached out to more people that I haven't talked to in a while, or this little series gives me a chance to like reconnect with you and even Marcus a bit, man. Because I'm like, last time I played with you was probably Malevich's big band, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Like I see you around town doing your thing. We never.
Right.
The city's so big, but it's so small. We never really get to connect.
Yeah.
So. I think what this quarantine has done for me has allowed me to kind of say, all right, I need to make sure I'm staying connected with musicians, man. Your tone is beautiful, man. It's warm.
Thank you.
What were the changes though?
Oh, it's There'll Never Be Another You.
Yeah. The contrafact.
Yeah, right. I guess if you didn't hear it, I didn't do my job very well.
No, I just wasn't really. That's on me.
Yeah. It's a good one.
Man, this is great, man. So what are your thoughts, man? I guess I'll play one. For me, like I've been doing, I'm still teaching a little bit. And because of that, I've got students that are like, man, I'm giving them assignments. So like I'm digging back deep into some like, the monk and the bird stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm going to play, one of the tunes that I heard first from Clifford, and then Wynton Marsalis playing it, and the title's great because it's my birthday month. and I it was like I had my birthday after this. I was in the midst of the quarantine. I turned 42. I was like, man, this kind of sucks.
Yeah. Happy birthday.
So I think you guys will recognize this tune pretty easily though.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. I love it too, man. Oh, stop it. You're making me feel good.
Beautiful.
Yeah, man. Somebody says they miss hearing jazz from the street performers in Chicago. Yeah, man. There's not a lot of folks that, well, I take that back. You can find a lot of cats out there playing on the streets. I don't think a lot of us do it.
I haven't much.
When was the last time you played on the street corner is the question.
I used to do it a lot in college in Bloomington, Indiana.
Yeah. So tell the people here, once again, thank you for joining us here at Andy's Live. This is part 2 of a part 4 session. Our goal here is to support the club, but also support the musicians. If you look down, you can see, in their title, they got a little Cash App where you can send some donations if you feel so moved. But also it gives you a chance to interact with us as musicians and artists. So if you have any questions or whatnot for us, please, throw them in the comment section. I'll get to those. But yeah, it'd be cool, man. Tell us where you went to school, who your influences were, man, how you got to Chicago.
Yeah. I'm originally from Pennsylvania, grew up in the Pittsburgh area. So yeah, I was there as a kid, and then I went in college to a school called Messiah College out in the middle of the state, Harrisburg area. And yeah, I was studying music education at that time, but I was really fortunate in college to work with a great, amazing saxophonist, Tim Warfield, who
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he lives in York, Pennsylvania, which is really close to where I was in school. And fortunately, he was teaching at the school I was at. So yeah, I mean, he was one of my biggest early influences as a musician, and just one of my first examples of what a jazz musician is, just someone who's been in that scene his whole life and playing beautifully. I don't have to tell you.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, I was in school there and got to work with Tim and grow a little bit. And after that time, I went to Indiana, where I did a master's degree at IU in Bloomington. And again, there I was fortunate to be under the tutelage of many great teachers, but especially David Baker, who was the head of the program there for, I don't know the exact number of years, but around 50 years he was the head of that program. And so just to be in that situation, learning from him, another person, I mean, he played with George Russell in the 50s, and he was playing across the street from Thelonious Monk, and he's just been part of the jazz world, a big part of it, for so long. So I was really lucky to be in that situation and just get to spend time with him, as well as the rest of the students who were there at the time.
That's great, man.
So yeah, after I graduated there is when I moved to Chicago. That's 2012. And the reason I came up here really is because of the students at IU. A lot of folks were graduating and then moving up here, so there was a pretty big community. And actually, my friend Josh Johnson, great alto player, he was living in Chicago but getting ready to move to Los Angeles at the time. And I was thinking about making the move, and he said he was getting ready to leave and he had a bunch of private students. Would I be interested in taking over that teaching studio? So, one thing led to another. And here I am.
Yeah.
In Chicago ever since.
Well, we're happy to have you, man.
Yeah, right on.
Marques, what about you, man? We're gonna move this along. So we're just kind of a quick one, man. Where are you originally from? I know a lot about you. So, but just let the folks know who they're talking to, man.
Yeah, sure. My family's from Chicago and Chicago area. It's really easy to quickly started out here, but spent 6 years in Colorado and then 9 years in
Hey, do me a favor, get a little closer, man. If you guys don't mind, I know we're just kind of troubleshooting. Both turn up a little bit if you can on your volume with your mic.
Yeah. So So I went to University of Wisconsin about 2 years, and exactly 2 years, and sat out a semester and transferred to University of New Orleans. It was wonderful, both are wonderful experiences, great teachers, great classmates.
That's great, man. Yeah. Well, for those who don't know, I mean, I'm from St. Louis originally. Came to Chicago 24 years ago and I didn't leave. So something stuck. I had a pretty good career or earlier part of my life, getting a chance to hang with Clark Terry. He was a big influence in my life. And recently just finished touring with the Basie Band for about 3 or so years. And I'm a musical director on the west side of Chicago, teaching inner city kids music and life coaching. So, so that's what we're all doing, man. Well, let's keep playing, man. I want to get to a couple of kind of some discussion a little bit about, where we're at, I guess, but let's play another tune and then we'll come back and we'll kind of talk about maybe, what's happening right now, how we see it, and what we're doing to prepare for what the new normal looks like. I think what a lot of musicians, as we've talked about this, is that there's not going to be a normal anymore. I hate to use the tragic events of like 9/11, but after that, there was a new normal to how we traveled, right? And how we interacted globally. And I think the way this thing is happening, we're going to have to come up with a new normal as far as music, entertainment industry, the clubs, the whole thing. And I think what we're doing right now is just kind of some trial and error, seeing what's happening, see what works, right. And what people are willing to come out and check out, because I think the biggest thing is everybody wants to feel safe. Musicians, especially, I think it's got to be hard for vocalists not to be able to really do their thing, because that's, it's a big thing. So we'll come back. We're going to talk about that. But Marques, what else are you going to play, man? Let's dive. Somebody said something about them. Speaking of Monk, Kevin Malone. Kevin, thank you so much, man. He's been he's been working with us as a guest here, checking us out from last week, and so he's getting some good input. But he said some Monk. So if nobody plays Monk, I think I'll try something.
I got some Monk. Yeah.
Okay. All right, Marques, what you gonna play, man?
Oh yeah. So when we were discussing it early on, you mentioned influences, and Miles Davis for sure, early influence. Used to play this with, I believe, a friend who may be watching from Minneapolis, Paul, and we used to play this tune in high school, Green Dolphin Street, and so it's just Green Dolphin Street.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't hear the people in the club, man. What happened? Beautiful job. I didn't do my job all the way. I'm still learning how to do all this stuff myself. But Kevin Malone asks, who's the pianist? Is Adrian Ruiz. Am I correct with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, Adrian, you sound beautiful, man. It's good to. How are you doing through all of this stuff too, man?
Yeah, I'm hanging in there, having a lot of free time for myself.
I can hear him just fine, Marcus. I think we just got to get you to speak up. Go ahead, Adrian.
Enjoying this time. It's kind of like a forced vacation.
Yeah.
I'm doing things I didn't thought I'd do in years.
Yeah, like share that, man. I think this is what's cool about this, man. I think everybody's honestly the same. I think everybody is finding out, man. I don't know. At least for me, musically, I'm just like, yeah, music's cool. It's part of me. It's what I do. I feel like I'm an artist. I do my thing. But like, there's these other things that are creeping up that I'm like, I didn't do that ever. Or let me try to do that. I'm actually launching like a business.
Whoa.
So I got 3 or 4 businesses in mind. So like I'm actually going a whole nother route that I never thought. So what does that mean? Like Adrian, what does that mean to you, man? Like what you said you're trying some things,
You know, I mean, I'm dabbling in starting some businesses myself. You know, going to just doing things that, you know, we're always running from gig to gig. We just don't get time to stop and smell the roses sometimes.
Yeah, right. Because cats are what, you know, as a musician, man, you know, we're like looking to gig, you know.
Yeah.
Sometimes, you know, unfortunately, you know, this stuff forces us to, you know, I don't know, man. You know, being a musician, you're like, I got a job, you know, I got to play the weddings, I got to teach, I got to have like 30 students, I got to take every gig because if I don't, I'm not going to make it happen. I can't cover the rent, you know, like it's, you know, I tell students, man, you know, I'm sure you guys do too. How honest are you with your students, man? You know, they're like, I want to go to music school. I'm like, don't do that. You know, I'm finally getting to that point, honestly. I think I shipped my last one off, Miranda Towler, right? She's a great trumpet player I got a chance to work with, and she's at Peabody with Sean Jones. And I said, I think that's going to be the last one, man. You know, I helped another sax player who's supposed to go to Paul Rufus. He's a great player. But I'm like, don't go to music school, man. Like, you know, unless you like want to go into music education or even possibly music management, maybe. But I'm like, dude, just figure out those other things you love doing and spend time doing that and let music also be a part of that, man. Like, it's just, I don't know what. I know I'm probably gonna get a lot of crap for that, but like, I don't know, man. I think right now, man, you know, this thing hit so quick. It was like folks were. I had stopped jobbing in December. I quit. I was like, I'm done with this, and I was actually about to buy a jobbing band, and I was like, nah, I'm not gonna do that. Wow. You know, and so by January, I was like just playing gigs because I wanted to, not because I needed to. And I had adjusted my relationship with money and how I was living. I was like, this is way better. I feel good. And then like out of nowhere, boom, no gigs, no tours. And everybody's thinking that it's coming back and we're going to be normal. I'm like, nobody's going to work in 2020. I don't see all the festivals. I mean, dude, we lost every event, every festival event, every street festival that would happen here in Chicago, Lollapalooza, Taste of Chicago, Blues Fest, Gospel Fest, the Jazz Festival, the Hyde Park Jazz Festival. Everything's gone, man. Every Newport, all of it. It's like, you know, so what do you do? What I mean, y'all got some insight, man? I know you've been thinking about it. Jump in.
And I don't have any words of wisdom to share. But yeah, I think.
Like Thanos.
Go ahead, Marcus.
Yeah, just coming on how quickly that it came as a reality, you know. Yeah, it's like someone snapped their fingers and was like, "Oh, no gigs. That's it."
Yeah.
Well, I mean, okay. So I guess, you know, I mean, what are you thinking about? Like, you know, it's what some Marina says, you have to be rich to be a musician, money on the bank for all the dry times. No, I don't think so. I honestly think as a musician, I think if you're smart with money and investments, that, you know, if you spend some time also thinking about, you know, the money you do bring in, how do I turn that into an investment of like maybe a house, a rental unit, a rental place, you know, invest in a company or invest more in yourself on something, you know, like I watched, there's this guy named Paul, the trombonist, how he like has learned to market his products. I mean, there's just like so much that you can do. It's the industry, this time has changed everything. Mm-hmm. How you present yourself, how you market yourself, because there's a lot of us out here, you know what I mean? And I don't think there's going to be, I think clubs will stay around, but I think it's going to be slim, you know? Yeah. And I really do think that folks have to start, from the club owners also to the musicians, have to start thinking about, man, how am I going to present my art, you know, that I love to do so much, you know? How do I build up an online presence for teaching? I mean, because that's where it's at right now, you know? What do you think about that, Artie?
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, we're going to have to change our skill sets and learn new things. I mean, before this time, I had never used Pro Tools or Logic or anything like that. And now I'm in Logic like hours a day working on stuff, trying to learn how to record better, mix tracks, you know.
Yeah.
So I didn't think I would have to do it, but you got to adapt. And
would you call that I'm going to interrupt you. Would you call that improvisation?
you know, I would. That's a very good point, Marcus. So yeah, I think that is a good point because, you know, musicians have these skills to adapt and change. So we're going to have to use them in a new way.
Yeah.
I don't know what it'll look like, but I think we can do it.
I think so too. You know, it's funny you said that because if we're teaching online, I've had to like come up with this online learning to teach 3rd through 8th grade. So not only just to get their attention, but to actually get something across. And it's funny, I picked up Pro Tools also, or not Pro Tools, but Logic. And I bought the big bundle and I've been like working on trying to put all this stuff together, man. I'm just like, dude, this sucks. I feel like a dinosaur, man.
Right.
I feel old. You know, and I know Marques is a little known secret, but maybe it's not, man. He has like I don't want to call it a day gig, but he has another career that he has, you know? And so he's like playing this dual role, man. And he's, you know, I don't know, man. Marques, how does that work for you, man? Like, you know, finding time to practice and whatnot, you know, or be creative in this piece.
Yeah. How's the sound volume?
Yeah, you're good. Speak loud, man. Say it.
I mean, it is. I think it's been. I mean, it's obviously something that has never. You know, wow. Yeah, that helps. The sound just came on, and it's something that you know, pandemic or global pandemic. You know, the fact it's so surreal and it happened so fast. But even independent of that, I think that the arts and music have always been a challenge for anyone to you know, have a profession. And I think there's also for some it's very you know, it's not as much of a problem. For the majority, it is. It's a difficulty. In the United States, we don't have universal health care, so those are things that are maybe beneficial to someone. Right.
just a little bit, right?
Yeah. So you know, for that, I'm thankful to work in where I can have that. But you know, obviously, music is my love. Music is my passion. I do it every chance I can get, and I've had great opportunities here at Andy's, at Winters, and other places in Chicago and around. And it's, you know, it's hard to balance at times. I think it's also, you know, absolutely necessary for me. I know that if I to go for a short period of time, even without playing my instrument or listening to music or composing something, it's just it's a gap. It's an omission. It's something that I really need.
Yeah, man. That's I don't know, man. I do it because I think I started playing because I love doing it. And then when I started making money doing it, I was like, okay, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. You know, I'm great at it. And then I got into education somehow. I don't know how that happened, so I'm gonna leave that one alone. But I enjoy it a lot, and it's brought out some things of me that I didn't know existed. Like I'm working on actual life coaching right now with young men, young Black men specifically, and because as you see in this climate, man, there's a need for some mentoring. So, you know, I spent a lot of time on that. But like somebody asked, I'm looking in these comments. It's funny. Marina says, that's a different story. Talking about a personal experience where he has a degree in music and taught school and decided at a very inopportune time to quit and go back to just playing, you know, and maybe that's towards me, but yeah, I honestly, you know, I've got 2 degrees in this thing, man. You know, I thought it was the thing. School allowed me time to practice. It gave me time to connect and network, learn material, to be prepared to do this as a professional. And after doing it I've been doing it for 34 years playing, man. It's like, after that, it's like, it shouldn't be all of my life, you know? There's other things besides just gigging, because if you do all of that all the time, then you don't get a chance to apply what you've been living into your art. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I also think sometimes schools are just, they want you to learn these things, certain things, but then it's like certain things don't even really apply to what you're doing. And it's like, to me, it's like time is, I'm working with a business manager and he says, man, I want you to get a lot of, that ROI on your time, return on investment of my time. If I'm giving my time, well, then what am I getting from it? Right now I'm giving my time and I'm getting connection, not only with people watching, but you too. You get what I'm saying? Like, it feeds my soul. So it's a great return on investment for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's funny, Marcus, I'm going to play something and I'm sure you're going to know what it is, but it's hilarious because you just played one of the first tunes I kind of actually learned. And Artie and I were just talking about working on like Pro Tools and Logic and things. So I'm trying to figure this whole thing out.
Yeah.
And so I put a track together.
Nice.
And the funny thing is we had a little session yesterday at the house with with Spencer and Dillingham and Fami and Brent Griffin. And we did like a reading session, which was great. So I'm playing this track and let's see if Marcus can check it out.
Yeah, man.
Logic, man.
Nice. Yeah.
It's funny. As soon as he called that tune, I was like, man, I can't play that tune. I was like, yeah, I can't. It's fun.
Awesome.
It's funny, man. I'm still trying to figure out this Logic thing, though, man. Like how to put that all together and not make it sound so cheesy, man. You know,
Yeah.
I'm having a hard time.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's funny, man. I chose Green Dolphin Street too, Marcus, because I love that tune. But I gave it as a writing assignment to a student who's working on, producing and things. I said, well, why don't you reharmonize Green Dolphin Street? And he came through, and I was like, well, what can you really do with this? And it's like, trumpet player Keon Harrell, great, I'm sure you guys all know him, man. He's a good friend of mine. He's like, man, there's 12 notes and couple of chords and the rest is your story. And that was so I mean, I don't know how we got in that conversation, but it was so profound, man, because it made me understand even more how important every person's voice really is. Everybody has the same foundation, honestly, and especially as a musician, we all know all the same stuff. It's just how we interpret it that makes it pretty dope and pretty hip. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I thought that was something to bring up. I thought that was unique coming from him,
Yeah, man.
So, yeah. Well, thanks, man. Thanks for listening, guys. Once again, for those folks who are watching, want to, support the musicians, we got Artie Black. He's at PayPal and Zelle at aoblack4@gmail. I love his name, Artie Black, man. That's a damn good name. I'm at Venmo, Marques/Carroll or -Carroll. And Marcus Roots, what is that? Is that Zelle or Venmo or PayPal?
So
Yeah, that's the Zelle account. So for those folks who want to kind of, drop some change, we like the stuff that jingles, but we also like the crisp. I'm just being silly, man. All right, what you gonna play, man? What you got for us?
I'll play the monk tune then.
Oh man, you gonna go there, huh?
Yeah, I'm gonna play this one called Ugly Beauty, which I think is another relevant title at this time.
Oh yeah, man.
It's a lot of ugliness, but I hope we can find some beauty.
Woo.
We need it.
Man, do you guys mind going into a little bit of that tonight? Just for a split second? We don't have to beat our heads over it, but I think it'd be important to kind of get some insight from other folks about what's happening.
For sure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm. Man, dude. Oh man. Okay. See, and this is why the quarantine is great, man. We're gonna have to do some playing together.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a session. I have room on the back patio, man. We can safely play.
I saw the video yesterday. It sounded great.
Yeah, man, dude. You know what that reminded me of immediately was that Herbie record, man, with Brecker and Roy live at what is it? Live at Massey? Is it Massey or Macy Hall? I think it's Macy Hall, right?
Yeah. I think, yeah, I know what you mean.
Do you remember when he does Naima?
Yeah, it's crazy, man.
Yeah, right. That's what
Wow.
man. That's beautiful, man. I
Cool.
dig
Thanks.
that.
Thank you.
That's a great man, Monk.
Yeah.
You know, it's these music, man. It's so funny, man. You know, folks. There's so much going on right now, and I think the fact that folks are quarantined or we've had this social distance, everybody's kind of like, what the hell is happening? Do I go back to work? Can I go back to work? Like, you know, should I be wearing the mask? Shouldn't I? You know, oh, now we're
You
in
should. Yeah, you should.
right. You should, right. You know, now we're in phase 3, and it's like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Or phase 4? What phase we're in, Marcus? I have no idea. Adrian, what do you say? We're in 3? Like, what does that mean, man? You know, like, what are we supposed to do, man? Like, and with that being said, man, it's like I started with all of that going in. Now we got this. I think everybody's attention is like glued to either social media or TV.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so and the climate that we're in, as far as you know, systemic racism, police brutality, and the whole thing that's out there, man. I think it's folks are like really paying attention, you know. And I think about, you know, Wynton's one of those guys that always talks about how jazz music is, you know, it's a democracy and it brings folks to, you know, it gets America through this. And I hate to be the kind of person that says this, but like, I just think music in general gets everybody. And I don't think it's just jazz music itself. I think music is the storyteller of what's happening in that time. And as artists, we have a huge duty to, I think, or at least we're like stewards, man, where we can, you know, kind of add music and tell the story through sound or visual art as well of what's going on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, you know, you talk about Monk and all those guys, man, you know, and Bird and Miles, those guys had to face so much stuff, man. And yet we're like considered these great pioneers of the music, you know. I don't know, man. What do you guys like? What goes with all of this is going on? Like, I mean, me being being a black man, my experience is a little different, you know. And Adrian, jump in too, man. I'm not trying to exclude you by any means. I'm just curious what folks are, you know, my other fellow musician friends, because I've gotten a lot of calls from people like, "Hey, man, are you okay?" And I'm like, "Are you okay?"
Yeah.
You know, I thought I was sick or something. I got so many calls from people, man.
Yeah.
You know? So I'm just kind of curious, like, what do you guys think about, you know, what's happening, and how does that affect you musically, maybe, and even in your writing, you know, what's that for you?
Well, yeah, I mean, as a white jazz musician, it's our responsibility to put out there. This is what I believe personally. It's our responsibility to put out there that we are guests in the world of jazz music because it was created by Black Americans, undisputably. I mean, and just, I mean, as I shared earlier, I've had the chance to have wonderful teachers like Tim and David Baker. And throughout my life, I've been welcomed into the world of jazz. And, you know, it's a privilege, one of the many privileges that I have. And so I think just it's a really important duty for white musicians right now to speak up and just kind of make that obvious, make that apparent all the time that we are fortunate to be included in this music. And it's not just jazz either. I mean, it's all of American music. And I think as you're talking about music bringing people together, there's a love around our whole country for popular music. Not everybody loves jazz, but if you don't like jazz, there's a good chance you like rock, or you like gospel, or you can get down with hip hop or something. And you know that music came from Black American culture. So
Yeah.
I think Marques Carroll, you and other Black musicians have known this forever, and I think you've been saying it forever. But now it's our turn, I think, as white musicians to speak up and say that we should be saying it as much as you or more.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Man,
I mean, it's tough.
That's heavy, man. I appreciate that. That's heavy too, because it's I don't know. It could be the times of just my age. I'm getting older and paying more attention to what I'm really believing in and standing on, and requiring those around me to also do the same thing. You know, that integrity piece of it's like watching Peyton lead this. He's not the first person, and especially Black musician, to talk about, you know, Black American music. You know, there's too many transcripts of articles about Mingus, Monk, Ellington, Blakey, Miles specifically. I mean, these are considered the greatest of the musicians, you know, of this music, and they never called it jazz. It wasn't their thing, and they had a lot of integrity behind it. And the one thing I dig most about, like, what Peyton talks about, is he's like, man, this isn't saying that nobody can't play it. Just give due respect to where it comes from. That's it.
Right,
It's
right.
simple. And I think, you know, there's a lot going on. I got a chance to watch Sean Jones on Chris McBride's Hidden Gems the other day, and it was pretty powerful, man, because he sits on the board of the Jazz Educators Network, and they're about to have a huge powwow about this, and the discussion of how this art form is in schools, in colleges, and you don't see a lot of young Black people in this music like it used to be, you know, that type of thing, and just how it's become a big money thing, like any college is. It's a business, you know, and I'm afraid as a musician and as an artist, and not even just as a Black musician and artist, but just as an artist and a musician, that the music that I love so much, which folks call jazz music, is that it's being so popularized in these schools, and yet there's not a lot of foundation and integrity behind it. You know what I'm saying? And knowing of the history. Like, I mean, how do you move forward and produce music, right? And write, like Marques writes great. I mean, Marques, you got 3 or 4 albums out, man, and they're beautiful. Like, but how do you get to that point if you don't study the history of the music? How do you find your voice without having some history behind it, you know? And you get into these colleges, and they teach you, you know, got to learn your patterns, you got to do all this, and, you know, learn this, and then you'll be a jazz musician. And then these young people come out of college, they're like, all right, where's my gig? Because I'm a jazz musician. It's like, no, man. You know, one of the older fellas, man, and I sound old now, but you know, listen to some older musicians talk about, like, how they were on a gig, and it was some young guys that were well-known young musicians. He wouldn't even tell me their names, and I'm talking about well-known. And they got on a gig, just doing a standard little gig, and they knew no Ellington tunes. I was like, how do you not study that? How do you not study the stuff that you say you love and the history of it? It's like trying to say I'm a great writer and never really study, like, maybe Shakespeare or something, you know? Like, how do you not do that? You know, I mean, that's kind of what we you know, what musicians would call jive.
Yeah. Right.
You know, what do you, man, Marques? What do you say about that, man? What are your thoughts on?
Well, I mean, of course, I'm in agreement with you, and in agreement with Artie also, from each of your perspectives, and I wish to say that it seems different than when I was younger. And I guess I was really, just extraordinarily fortunate. I mentioned University of Wisconsin-Madison, where I went there specifically only to study with Richard Davis. Didn't even know I had to take trumpet lessons as a music student.
he had classes, black music history. We didn't have jazz combo. We had black music ensemble. He had rather. I was
Yeah.
And even at that time, and without hiding my dates, in 1987, 88, there were incidents, of course, at that time and long before now too. So I just feel fortunate to have that guidance, and then later on, I mentioned University of New Orleans with Mr. Marcellus as my instructor. They really informed me and all of us. So just I try and think I do pay homage in writing and playing and dedication.
Yeah.
Other than that, the barbarianism of what's happening now, that's paralyzing.
Yeah. Man, Adrian, what about you, man? I know, it's. I'll just say this, man, and you don't have to speak if you don't want to. I find this like this topic of discussion much needed. It's very important, I think, for folks to just kind of listen to one another, man, and be open to, the once again, if we call this music the democracy music, what I'm saying, it's like we have to really be open to listening to everybody. And not go into a conversation with like I'm right, you're wrong, or it's everybody's got a perception about it, whether they feel like they're right or wrong. In my opinion, I really do. It's like we're all going to see, once again, even as musicians, we look at a chart or we learn a piece, we're all going to interpret it completely different. But I look at what's happening, man. I think everybody's voice is worth hearing. You can pass if you want to. I'll take that as a pass. It's all good. It's well, listen, we were slated to go to 9. I went to 9:30 last week, man. Let's play. You guys got another two. Well, let's quickly maybe talk about projects, man. Like, did you have projects going on that kind of got stopped like abruptly? And then are you finding that even with the project that you were probably doing, is it the right time to like put it out? Have you had those types of thoughts, man? What about Marcus or Artie, either one of you guys, or Adrian? Marcus?
Adrian and I are Adrian's part of my own project, in fact, so we're I can only speak for how we're together on that, but my project right now is blueprints, and I definitely have some second thoughts about second volume that's coming out in September, and have decided to go through it. And thankful, with Origin Records to do that.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, but it was it's kind of interesting, without the previous topic of where to have a CD opening, how to have that now. I've seen other albums come out recently from friends, and I decided to go forward, but it's Blueprints, just to give you background, that's the name of the album. First volume came out last September, this September, and it's got a bunch of originals, some standards as well.
That's great, man. Yeah, I've got all your records. He's a songstress, man. That dude writes great melodies, man. What about you, Artie?
Yeah, I got this band called Black Diamond, which is myself and saxophonist Hunter Diamond. We have Matt Eulery on bass and Neil Hemphill playing drums. We've been working on this project for a while. We have a couple records out, and actually last year Hunter and I did a duo recording. We just did a session, one-day session. It was all improvised, and we put all that stuff together. We did some post-production editing and kind of layering and all sorts of different things. So yeah, that record is done. It's going to come out later this year, but I don't know exactly what it's going to look like yet, like how we're going to release it or when or where.
Right.
It's just kind of all up in the air. We had some shows and touring for the band, but it all is gone. So
Yeah,
we'll
right.
see. Yeah, but the record will come out one way or another.
Yeah. It's I honestly I'm looking at like 2021 for like, regrouping of the minds of folks who run festivals and figuring out how to, have a safe environment,
Yeah.
I know for me, we were Trumpet Summit already released a record. We did a live disc set that's been out for years, and then I also co-lead Chicago Soul Jazz Collective, and we put the first one out last year, and then we recorded. We were like about to like be finally done, and it was like, so we finally we went back in the studio a couple of weeks ago and finished, and then we did a live thing, which was great. So we're going to release that really soon, man. We got a chance to collaborate with Raul Madone, and Nicholas Payton is going to be on that record. So we're like, listen, we're going to do it. Let's do it, And we're like, do we put it out now? And we're like, yeah. We kind of changed up some of the names to kind of fit with, with the mood of the piece that kind of, plays some of the mood of what's happening right now. And I'm currently working on another project too to release probably in the fall, just like Marcus was talking about. But like, just I'm writing music that is all about what's happening. Like I lost a friend of mine. Her son was unfortunately gunned down yesterday. Like immediately, and it's very sad. I mean, I'm numb right now. But the music that came out today, I actually wrote a piece. I'm just like, it's like every event. I find myself actually writing more because I don't know how else to deal with the emotions of being kind of housebound on top of like no performance work on top of the police and racial climate that we're all dealing with. It's just like, all right, so what else do? You just got to write. You got to hopefully connect with people too. I talk with somebody every day, which is a great thing too, man. Well, man, that's this. You guys have another tune you want to play before we maybe close this out? I think I really appreciate you guys being here. For those folks who are watching too, I'm not just myself but Andy's. We're open for the feedback. Somebody last week said that they thought it was going to be more playing, so I hope that we have more playing this time. But also note if you check it out, it says we're going to have some conversations. So, and that's important because this gets musicians to connect. I keep trying to tell folks, man, when the people the patrons, when they leave, that's when we actually really throw down.
Yeah. That's right.
Because we're able to kick back and drink and talk a whole bunch of smack.
Yeah.
Which is important, man. That's that thing. So, Marcus, what do you have, or Artie, what do you want to play?
Yeah, maybe I'll play this tune. I'll Be Seeing You. My favorite standards, and just think about it a lot, and I think it's kind of relevant.
Let me ask you a question before you play too, man. So, like, and I'm the same way. Like, I listen and I play a lot of the stuff that I grew up listening to, right? But my writing and my playing is nothing like the stuff that I totally dig. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm versatile, but like, do you find that your writing is similar to, and maybe chords, harmony, structure, or just melodies to the things that you really dig playing? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's a good question. I haven't thought about it enough, I guess. Maybe in some ways.
Yeah.
But I tend to write like thinking about the people that I'm writing for. That seems to have the most success for me. Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure that it does influence it, but I don't know if I could say exactly how.
Right. Yeah. I've been asking myself that question. I'm like, man, I studied all this Clifford Brown. I studied all this. I'm like, but I don't hear it in my writing.
Right.
I
bet it's in there, but just in your own way. Like you said before, we all have the same materials, but it's our voice to bring it out.
Right. True. Right.
Yeah. I don't know. I'll be thinking about that now.
Man. Woo. Artie Black, y'all, please. If you're watching and you don't know who Artie Black is, you need to know who Artie Black is. Go check him out. Go find him. He's on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. He's in the world, man. That is beautiful, man.
Thank you.
Your tone. I'm a sucker for tenor, man. I am like that's, and I'm a Dexter Gordon fan more than anything.
Okay.
Nice. Yeah, but you got that warm, velvety, man.
Thanks.
It's the first thing. I mean, your sound is the most important, man. You know, I teach students. I say, listen, if your sound isn't great, man, I don't want to hear the rest of it. You know, it's that initial, that first thing.
Yeah,
it's how. Honestly, is Adrian's playing on a piano that every other piano player plays on, but they strike it differently. How he touches that thing, man, I'm like, yeah, you know, that is so important, man. And I think you just have such a warm approach to your sound, but even your playfulness of the ideas around the melody is just nice, man. So thank you so much for being here and doing your thing. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, man. Marques, what you got, man? And Adrian.
This for the CD release last fall. It's something I wrote last summer in dedication to Freddie Kepler.
Nice.
It's Kepler's Kerchief, just to keep the alliteration in the title, but regarding his handkerchief and the importance of individualism and ideas and intellectual properties of his.
Nice, man. Now you know you're not getting paid extra for the original tunes, right?
Oh, yeah.
I'll get you a cup of coffee though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I'm telling you, man,
Yeah.
he's a songstress, man.
Indeed.
Dude, he writes these great melodies, and the majority of his melodies, they got that hint of blues in it, man. Like all the time.
Yeah.
Adrian, you sound great too, man.
Yeah.
Beautiful playing, man. Man, I'm just grateful. I'm really grateful for us being able to come together in our separate little spaces and to just share some time together and be able to share that with people who want to pay attention, and for those who, like I said again, who want to help donate to the cause. Us as artists we're not necessarily playing gigs daily, so it would be helpful if you felt like you wanted to spread a little love in that financial way. Let's do that. I think folks would really appreciate that. Um, and at the top of the conversation, I just want to challenge people who come onto this little platform, but also who are watching us. Challenge yourselves in this time to challenge others to look at what we're doing as human beings and as a country. And the music will prevail, man. This music is going to change. How we make it and how we present it. It's forever been altered, and I think in a good way. And I think we have to figure that piece out, uh, you know, individually, but also together. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So thank you guys for your contribution musically, man, in your words. I'm going to end with a tune because I like Hank Mobley.
Yeah.
Hank,
Got him on the wall right back here.
let me see. Go ahead. There he is. I like some Hank Mobley. I'm going to play a tune that, man, if my vowels work, I'm going to play a tune that just has this nice little melody, man. It swings in the middle.
Yeah, man. Beautiful.
Man, thank you so much, man. Thanks for the folks paying attention and listening. Remember, we love to get more interaction. You know, we like when folks ask questions, man, and kind of want to hear what we're about, what we do. It's so one time I think, I would dare say, man, I've gotten lots of questions when you get off stage. What kind of instrument is that? 3,000 is a trumpet. How long have you been playing? Those types of things. We want to interact, man. I think it's what, honestly, when we interact, it reminds us of how human we really are and how very similar we all are. Plain and simple. So thank you guys for being here with us tonight, man. I love you guys so much. And to the next one, man, we will be back here Sunday. I believe this Sunday, 8:00, we'll have Chris Madsen on tenor. Maybe I can sneak him to get some clarinet since Artie was like, And I think we're gonna have Adam Thornburg also on maybe trumpet or trombone.
Yeah, who knows what he'll play?
That dude, he's all over the place, man.
He might learn a new instrument by Sunday.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what we're gonna do, man. All right, I'll catch you guys next time. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you, Marcus.
All right, guys, love you. Peace out.